Hey, y'all, and welcome back. Now, I'd like to go ahead and talk a little bit about what is referred to as the advanced instrument properties. I'd like to start off by taking a look at the envelope section right here. First thing you might notice is that there's a downward facing arrow. When you click on that arrow, you'll see that there's an option to reset. Here you'll find your user presets in a submenu. And down at the lower part of it, you'll find the usual suspects: save as, save, delete, and manage in Finder or Explorer. Now let me show you what the reset option will do right quick. It comes in very handy if you find yourself working with parameters and then not being very satisfied with the results. You can simply come up here and choose reset, and it turns everything back to its default position. Easy enough, and very convenient, I might add. The next thing I want to talk about is this little button right here, because this is the power button, and unless it's glowing blue, none of these changes will take effect to the instrument that you have selected. For example, let's go ahead and choose a snare drum by right-clicking or control-clicking, or you could come down here and choose snare. Let me go ahead and press play. And as you see, nothing is being affected. However, whenever I cut it on, there you go. Easy enough, right? Now, within the envelope section, you're going to find some pretty typical parameters such as attack, decay, sustain, hold, and release. Each one of these anchor points control a different parameter. This first anchor point to the far left will control the attack, and as you can see, the value changes as you move the anchor point horizontally. Now, I want you to think of the attack as a fade-in type of function, okay? It pretty much determines the start of a sample. The lower the value, the faster the attack. The higher the value, the longer the attack, or fade in, okay? The next anchor point will control two parameters, the decay and sustain parameter. By dragging the second anchor point to the right or left, you'll find that you're going to go ahead and manipulate the decay right there. You'll find that parameter, see there? And if you drag it down or up, you'll see that you're now controlling the sustain. Next in line is going to be the hold anchor. Now, this works in conjunction with the sustain time, and it pretty much tells the sustain how long to last. The last anchor point will control the release time. Now, more or less, I want you to think of the release time as being the opposite of the attack time. It is a fade out of sorts, okay? It is used to determine the speed at which a sample will end. And I'm going to give you an audible example of that in just one moment. Now, in the lower part of the envelope section, you're going to find a knob that says offset. Okay, this is used to shift the overall envelope in time, whether it be in a positive or a negative. Okay, you can get back to 0 at any time by pressing Control and clicking if you're on a PC, or Command click if you're on a Mac. Next, you'll see a ratio and time switch. Okay, now when you choose ratio, you'll see that the release time is now a %. And this % is relative to the length of the sample you have selected, okay? And you can still manipulate it by doing that there, all right? And then time does just that. It will show a measurement of time. The note on, Aftertouch, and note off options will give the user even more control over the parameters found within the envelope. So now let's go ahead and reset the parameters. It'll get everything back to a default position for us. Let's go ahead and cut our envelope on. And now I want to give you an example of the snare drum and how these parameters can affect that sound. Watch here. Let's go ahead and start with the attack. You see how you don't have that fast attack? It's a fade in. And you don't have that crack. Next, you'll hear the decay and sustain. And then you got this here. There we go. Okay, and you can have fun with that all day long. So anyhow, next is the offset. I want to go ahead and show this to you. Let's go ahead and reset everything real quick. Let's go ahead and cut the envelope back on. And if I go to a negative value of the offset, you'll see there's a delay between the time I hit the drum or my keyboard and the time that we hear the sample. It offsets everything, okay? And there you go. But next thing I want to show you are the note on, aftertouch, and note off options, okay? Now for this example, we're going to go ahead and switch instruments, okay? Let me go ahead and reset this. And then I want to right click or control click, which happens to be A2. And I'm going to use my keyboard to give you this example, okay? Let's go ahead and change the release time of this sample. Okay, almost like a choke. There you go. Now, with this switch set to note on, if I tap my keyboard, that's the effect that I will get. No matter if I hold the key down on my keyboard or I just hit it once, that's what sound will be triggered. Okay? However, if I choose Aftertouch, now I'm using my keyboard for this. If I were to tap my keyboard, the cymbal rings out. However, my keyboard has Aftertouch, and whenever I press the key and push down harder on my keyboard, it'll choke that cymbal or whatever effect that I have tried to establish via the envelope. You understand? I can press it once, and it still rings out nice and neat, or I can press and hold the key down, and it will stop it and choke it, okay? Now, when I have note off, if I tap my keyboard, I get the desired effect from the envelope. However, if I hold my key down with the note off option, the cymbal will ring out. You see? And it's very convenient, especially if you have E-drums and you're trying to customize a choke on a cymbal or something like that. Okay? So like I said, this gives the user more control over when these parameters should take effect. I know it may seem a little confusing at first, but trust me, once you start playing around with it and getting some custom sounds going, you're going to get the hang of it in no time. I hope it helped you understand it a little better, though. Thanks so much for watching. Now, I want y'all to stick around because in the next video, I'm going to talk about the pitch and humanize sections. Take care.